Hello and welcome to the Find Your X podcast, brought to you by Hurricane Marsh Outfitters. I'm your host, Jon Blevins, and joining me today at NWTF, got a special guest here. This is singer-songwriter, Nashville recording artist, Lance Carpenter.
How y'all doing?
What is up, brother?
Thanks for having me, John.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it. Yep.
Man, I'm excited to sit down and talk with you. I mean, how nuts is this convention, though?
Man, I've been coming for 15 years, and this is by far more people than I have ever seen. The Thursday felt like a Friday. Yesterday felt like Saturday. And
Amen.
I thought it might kind of fall off today, a lot of people leaving, but it was just it was like a big old box of worms in there, people trying to just slide by each other. You run into someone and say, oh, I'm sorry, and that'll probably be the last time you hear that today. Nope.
No, it's all
sorry,
day long.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. It's crazy. I mean, the turnout and the support that NWTF gets is crazy. But, boy, they put on an event. I mean, that's why everybody's here. I mean, you talk about top-notch, first class, and, I mean, as crowded as it is, the best bunch of people you could ever want to be around.
Absolutely. I've met people from all over the country, from New York to Montana, Florida, my home state of Arkansas. I live here in Tennessee now, but you just meet, salt of the earth from all over, and it's good to hear what kind of hunting they got their way. Well, if you ever want to come this way and hunt a little bit, and I might come to your way. So it's great. You meet friends you never knew you had.
Yeah, I mean, you can make lifelong friends here at this place, And I mean, that's where we first met you. And, we were just talking before we put the headphones on and everything, how, it's so nice to actually get to sit down and, talk to each other one-on-one like this. I mean, I know you pop in our booth, but, I mean, and I'm thinking everybody, we are so busy and it's so crowded in there. It's just like, hey, y'all, and then, away you go, which, I mean, I get it. I mean, and we're so busy, you don't want to take away from, your customers, who you got in your booth, and you want to make sure they get what they want and everything. But, it's quiet here, and we're going to sit down and we're going to chat.
We got the last day of the 50th anniversary in NWTF.
And I remember a few years back, I know we were talking about, estimated numbers through the door. I remember when they hit, it was like 60-something thousand, and boy, they thought, wow, that's a turnout. Next year was in the 70s. Last year was what,
82,000.
82,000. And what'd you tell me in the booth you think it is this year?
I've heard a lot of people, man, I bet they break 90 this year, and I said, I think they're going to break 100. If you go outside, when my folks were leaving a little bit earlier, if there's a patch of grass near a parking lot, there's a truck or a car on it.
That's right.
And I heard people were parking across the street behind scoreboard and walking, and that's 600, 700, 800 yards away from
that's a long
the
way.
Building. So
yep. If you're coming here, wear your walking shoes. I'm telling you that.
Yeah, I've been getting about 15,000 steps a day.
Yeah. I mean, you get the Apple Watch on. If you ain't hitting them, I don't know. You must not be walking.
You're not trying hard enough.
You ain't trying hard enough.
You
That's
ain't
right.
seen all the booths. You ain't went up and down.
And, man, there is the best of the best, the newest, everything's here.
Absolutely, yeah. I've bought a lot of gear throughout the years. This year I've left with a few new pieces that this is either the first or second year, and I'm really excited. I'm leaving with a turtle box this year. I've been wanting one for so long and finally got one in the box. But, yeah, I've had a great time. The raffles, the entertainment. One of my favorite things that I do the whole year is the Veterans Breakfast. If y'all have never got to go to that, probably because y'all are down on the floor.
We're so busy on the floor, yeah.
But that's an event. If you ever come to the NWTF convention, go to the Veterans Breakfast. That's one of my favorite events for this whole thing, to honor those that have served, and they always have a great speaker and a great meal, and it's a wonderful event.
Is that held on any special day or every morning? Or?
It's usually the last morning. So it's Saturday morning, 8 o'clock, in the Delta Ballroom is where they do that.
Okay. Yeah, so that's something to check out if you come down here. Vet, not a vet, come out and support our vets. I mean, we owe them everything.
Absolutely.
And the reason why we were able to sit here in God's country and, have fellowship like this is because of the sacrifices they have all made for us.
We could put on this great Hurricane Marsh camo to hunt because they put on camo to fight for our freedom.
Amen to that. Yes, that's right. The brave men and women of the armed forces. I mean, I can't say enough about them. My dad was in the Marines. He was a drill instructor. I got many nephews that were Marines, and, just thankful for them. Thankful for them. That's
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. And not only do you just attend here, you also, I think you perform here. You were telling me, usually Friday or Saturday night?
Yeah, I've been for the last 8 or 10 years. I'd have to look up to see what my first year was that I performed, but up in the water and hole, I've been picking and grinning for a long time.
Yeah.
And when I get the opportunity to support, an event, like NWTF and what they do, I'm like, sign me up. It's a volunteer thing. But
sure.
You get to get up and you get to entertain folks that are here, to celebrate the wild turkey and to come together. And so I enjoy doing that. And that's how I first kind of met y'all. I ran into Macie, and I had the show up there, and I was probably walking around to all the booths promoting, hey, 4 o'clock or 6 o'clock, I'm going to play.
Yeah.
And I know she came up and watched that first year and just enjoyed the music. And
sure.
Even though it's been like one time a year we get to see each other, and you and her and Sam and everything, but it's just like, hey, good to see old friends.
Oh, it is. It is.
And we finally get to sit down and talk, for more than just a hello and goodbye.
Yeah, because like I said, you get to duck in, you say hi, and I mean, it's just so busy. And, Macie's told me a lot about you. She's like, man, he can really sing and everything else. And we don't get to come up to a lot of that. When we do these shows, like NWTF, all my buddies are like, hey, this vest is going to be there. Can you check the new vest out for me? Or Woodhaven's going to have this new call. Can you go by and get – I don't get the chance. Mm-hmm. We are so busy. And, this year, unfortunately, my wife couldn't make it down with us. And, we always have her help. But this year we were shorthanded one. And, man, you can tell the difference. So, it just – the crowd keeps increasing. All the cool stuff everybody's coming out with. I mean, man, it's you're like a kid in a candy store. It's the only way I can explain it.
Yep.
So,
a room full of candy stores.
Yeah, it's not just one.
If they don't have it here, then you're not looking in the right spot.
Yeah, I don't know where they'd have it. Yep. So, everything in the hunting industry that you could ever want will be here. Mm-hmm. That's for sure. Yep. So, Nashville resident now?
Yeah, I've been living in Nashville 15 years. Last week was my 15-year anniversary. Really? I moved here. Before I did music, I worked for the federal government, traveling the country doing disaster response and recovery with FEMA.
Oh, really?
And I was here during the flood in 2010, and I had visited here a few times just kind of learn about songwriting.
Yeah.
And I fell in love with the community. I fell in love with the people. And when I came here and worked it, I said, when I get done with this job, I'm buying a house here.
Oh, yeah.
And so after, the flood in 2010, I stayed with a friend for about 4 months and found the townhouse that I live in still today, and been here ever since. And started writing songs any chance I could, and I'd go work my federal job and come back and write. And I thought it would be a hobby. I never really dreamed it would turn into a full-time career, and God had other plans.
In that, and that's everybody asked me about that because I was a fireman. That's what I did forever. And, this was just a side hobby. And I always tell everybody, and I might say it in every podcast, but he's got a plan for you, but you got to be able to make that leap of faith and take it on.
Yep. And, there's mountains and there's valleys. And you come to town, and it's even if you got a lot of talent, I tell people all the time, I'm blessed now to mentor a lot of folks, and I'll hear someone, man, they're the best person in my town. I said, talent might get you to this town,
right?
But it ain't going to make you stand out because this whole town is talented.
Absolutely.
You got to be a good person. You got to have a great network. You got to, have a good reputation and help people and be lucky and just step in. And everybody's path's different. You want to look over here. Well, this person's getting to do this, and well, look, this person has this cut on so and so, or who recorded a song, and you can't let that affect you. You just got to dive in to your God-given talent and walk your path and enjoy that.
Yeah, and you go down that road, you meet so many people along the way. I know you had told me about, I guess you signed a deal with Toby Keith, or was working with I mean, we lost him how long ago?
That's a couple years now.
Yeah.
In April.
And, a lot of people see him on his videos, this and that. And to me, he always came across as just a good old boy to me, Oklahoma boy. Just good. I mean, what was he like in person?
Yeah, well, I'll back it up. My manager reached out to me one time and said, Crystal Keith's in town writing, and a friend of mine works their label. Would you want to write with her? And it didn't even register. And I'm like, who's Crystal Keith? Sure, I'll write with her. I'll write with anyone. And my manager just kind of hid who it was, like didn't answer the question and just set the write up. And so she pulls in. And as soon as I saw her, I'm like, I know this person. It's that, okay. Now it kind of clicked. But in my mind, I thought, you know what? Worst thing I could do was mention her dad. And so we wrote that whole day, and I never even brought him up.
Really?
And I think that was something that was probably new to her. Mm-hmm. And it got me in the room a second time, and then a third time. And she ended up recording some songs we wrote, and then some that I had written and sent to her. And then we were in the studio one day, and we recorded a song just for fun, honestly. It was some friends of mine wrote it, and I had recorded it a year before I met her. And I said, your voice would be really good on this song, and I want to give this back to the writers and give them a new demo to pitch because I've loved this song for years. Not going to put it out because I don't have a deal. Your record's done. I'm not trying to pitch it to you. I didn't write it. And we went in and recorded a version, and I sent it to the writers. But about a week later, she called me, and she said, I played it for Dad, and Dad said, this needs to be on the radio. I'm going to put it there. Who's the guy?
Really?
And what really turned him on, she said, it's a songwriter in Nashville that's got this cut and this cut and this cut on my record. And he goes, he's a songwriter, huh?
Oh, yeah.
He booked a show in Nashville, his people called my people and said, we want y'all to come to the show. And I walked on the bus before the show, and he said, you the guy I'm signing to a record deal today? And I looked at my manager, and I go, what is this about? He goes, we want you to be on Show Dog. And that, started that whole journey. And, man, he's salt of the earth.
Is he?
I looked up to him as an artist for a long time, and I love his patriotism and his story. But getting to know the man, it's something that I will forever treasure.
That's awesome.
And the time we got to spend, outside of music, just talking and about life, just to hear, his story coming up and about his family and his heart and values, and to see him be a dad and to see him be a husband, to see him be pop around his, his grandkids, just salt of the earth. I miss him. Yeah.
Oh, I bet you do. I mean, that's a side of, a lot of, artists and, just famous people, most people, they're people too.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you see in a video or on social media or whatever, but, they're just people too. And they live a normal life just like everybody else. And, but I could, when I'd see him, and I mean, he just seemed like, he came across to me that way that, he was just a good guy,
Yep.
So.
Yeah, man, he could tell stories. If you ever, especially if you got him and Scotty Emmerich together, Mercy, they would pass the guitar back and forth, and they'd sing, and then they'd tell a story, and then they'd sing, and then they'd tell a story, and you just sit back and get the popcorn. And I mean, it's better than any movie you'll ever watch.
So here at NWTF, usually on Saturday night, they have the big banquet. We're wrapping up, so we don't really get to go to that, but we're lucky enough and fortunate enough. Some people are like, hey, at least come up and listen to the artists play at night. And, I'm trying to think of different artists that have been there. Riley Green was there one year. I'm trying to think. The one that really stood out to me the most, they had a bunch of different songwriters up there. I think there was 4 or 5 of them.
Yeah.
Man, were they good.
Red Akins and Ben Hayslip and the Peach Pickers and some of them guys, I think. Yeah, we've had Chris Jansen here. We've had Gary Allen here.
Chris Jansen.
Yeah,
all right, so that's a Missouri boy, okay? He grew up, I think, in Cape Girardeau. Or Perryville, Missouri, actually.
Perryville, I think.
Because that's where my brother lives. That's where my mom lives. I got nieces and nephews down there and everything. And, man, he put on a show.
Yep.
And, I mean, 125 pounds soaking wet, maybe?
Oh, man, if that.
But that boy was up and down the stage. And, I mean, he could play every instrument. I mean, I was like, wow.
He's lightning in a bottle. We were his label. My first publishing deal was the same as his. And I got to see one of his first showcases in Nashville at a venue that's not even there anymore. It was called the Rutledge. And I got to hear Buy Me a Boat, first time anybody ever heard it.
Oh, really?
And I looked at my publisher, and I'm like, cha-ching.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, launched his career. But, yeah, Chris, incredible musician, incredible man, father, husband, all that. And just a great artist, and his head's on right. And I think his boy even got up and played drums on one of the shows that night. His son.
Yeah, I think he played Metallica.
Maybe.
Enter Sandman on the. I mean, I'm thinking, and you don't realize the transition and how talented some of these artists really are. I remember, there's 2 kinds of music to me, country and Western. I mean, just like in the movie Blues Brothers, you know what I mean? And that's going back. Some of these younger folks are like, what's that movie? But anyway, hearing him play, and then I heard Post Malone. I didn't really know who he was. My kids listened to him. And then I heard him do a country song before he even – I was blown away. And I was like, well, this boy's talented.
Yep.
And then look at him now. But, to hear Chris Jansen jump back and forth like that, I mean, it was truly talented artist. And, one song I didn't know he did, but he sang it there, and he told us he wrote I Love This Life for Low Cash, I guess. Is that the name of the song, I guess? And, he talked, he told the story about it, and it was really neat, And, So I'm sure you got some of those stories too. I mean, what's that song you wrote for Toby Keith there?
I've never written one for Toby.
It was for his daughter, I guess.
Well, yeah, Crystal Keith. Yeah, she's recorded, I don't know, three or four that we wrote, and I've been blessed to have a bunch of artists record songs I've had from Kelsey Ballerini, Dylan Scott, Tyler Farr, Richie McDonald, Emerson Drive, and then just last year something that it's one of them pinch you moments kind of situation. Larry Gatlin heard a song of mine, and he said, "Do you mind if the Gatlin brothers join you on this one?"
Really?
So we went in the studio, and I got to produce the song. It's called Without Jesus, and we're in the middle making a music video for it right now. But
oh, wow.
I mean, and this is a kid that just came to town thinking, I'll learn how to write a song maybe in Nashville. And you get to, a chance to all these people that you looked up to and admired, and they become friends.
That's cool.
I've told, a lot of the people I mentor that are just so, and any kid that comes to town, they're just so hungry for that first cut because they want that recognition. And I said, honestly, years from now, you could take away any success, any award, any number one, any amount of money I've ever made from music, take it all away. But if you took away the friendships that I've made in the last 15 years, I'd be a hollow man.
Yeah.
Because that matters so much more to me than any of the success. The success came because a lot of it was just me doing what I love with friends. That are, the first number one I wrote with Kelsey Ballerini, it was just 4 friends hanging out in the lobby, eating pizza, getting to know each other.
Really?
And the song kind of fell out, and she didn't have a record deal at the time. But 2 years later, she got one and then put it out, and, it kind of changed the face of females in country music. And
oh, yeah.
Has a great career now. Love her to death. She's so talented.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, Kelsey's great. So.
Yeah. And that's the neat stuff. That's the stuff that I enjoy. And, and that's what I got a big kick out of that night because, I mean, you listen to country music and everything, and, everybody understands, okay, some of these people write their own songs, but there's a lot of people behind the scenes making this happen. And then, but when you hear these stories, hey, we were sitting around doing this or that, and I met a guy, we were doing a show, and he was a boot rep for Lou Casey. And he was telling me, just different stories. He got to know George Strait. And Who? King George? So, yeah. So, I mean, but
every songwriter wants a cut with George.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mercy.
But, I mean, and just some of the stories. He, I guess, got to be friends. And that's what he said. He goes, I worked with a lot of country music artists, because, hey, I want some nice Lou Casey boots, and, we'll get them done right. Well, however you want them, we'll get them. But he said, a true gentleman, just a true gentleman. And just the stories he would tell me how he would come up with some songs. And, I mean, it's neat. I mean, it really is. It's just not like we're going to sit down and we're going to write a song about this and everybody, get your thinking caps on. It's just, it comes natural.
Yeah, it does. And sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. Dean Dillon that's written most of George Strait's, he's had 50 or 60 songs recorded by George. And he was telling me one time he was on a boat off Key West and they were writing a song called The Chair. And when the other gentleman came back in, Dean went to sit back down and he kind of kicked the chair out from under him. Dean hit the floor. He looked up and he goes, "Excuse me, bud, but I think you got my chair." And that's where the idea came from. They were just hanging out on a boat. And I'll tell this story since I didn't have one about me writing a song for Toby, but a story that he told me one time about Should Have Been a Cowboy, which is one of my favorite songs. Yep. Have you ever heard about how it was written?
No, I have no idea. I'm ready. Let's hear it.
Here we go. We have an exclusive. He was out pheasant hunting in Kansas with some guys. There's 8 or 10 of them, and they'd just come out of the field, and they were dirty in their camo, and they go to this bar, a little dance hall, and get steaks, and they're all eating. And one of his buddies, we'll call him Bill, pretty bigger guy, probably around 55, 60 years old at the time. Mm-hmm. And there was this really pretty waitress, and Bill told everybody at the table, "I'm going to dance with that young woman right there." And they're like, "Yeah, okay, come on, Bill."
Yeah.
And he goes over there, and he asks her, and then he comes back to the table with his tail tucked between his legs, and she turned him down, not going to do it. She said, "I don't dance." Well, they kept eating, and a little while later, here comes this tall, strapping young cowboy with a hat on and boots, and walks right up to her and takes her hand and goes out on the floor, and they start spinning around. And it wasn't Toby, but someone else at the table kind of hit Bill in the chest. He goes, "Bill, you should have been a cowboy, and maybe she'd have danced with you." And Toby said that light just started going off on my head. And they get back to the room. He said it was late, and they were hunting early in the next morning. and he didn't want to interrupt the guy he was rooming with, so he got his guitar and he goes in the bathroom and he sits down on that hotel bathtub, and in 20 minutes he writes "Should Have Been a Cowboy."
Is that right? I mean, I got chills just listening to that story right now, man. I mean, that is cool. I mean, that is a really cool story. But I mean, it's just spur of the moment that you get a good idea, you act on it, a lot of times, and I'm sure that's how a lot of songs are written, and just going back to Chris Janson, there was one song, I'm trying to think which one it was, but I think it may have been "Love That's Life." He was just talking about, I guess he came in a bad mood that day, and somebody said something to him like, "Hey, we're not going to be that way. You should love this life," or I think it was something like that. And that's what he said. It was just like that,
Yep.
And I guess Locash, recorded the song and everything, and just neat. I mean, and that's a cool story about Toby right there. I mean, you got any other ones like that in the bank? Or?
I mean, you never know where a song will come from. Gosh, I'd have to sit here and think. I mean, there's probably so many stories that are out there that I could think of. I remember, man, I wish I remember what song it was, but there was another couple of buddies of mine that long before me were on Toby's label, and it was Trailer Choir, Butter and Big Vinny and Crystal. And Butter had a song that he just knew would be a great Faith Hill song. This was many years ago.
Yeah.
And had it on a CD and just said, "In case I ever see her." And he was at a Kroger or some grocery store one day, and she pulled in. He said, "I ran up to her car. She had her window down." He said, "I stuck it in the window, and I said, 'I'm not a creeper. I'm a songwriter, and I think you would love this song. My information's on it, bye.'" And he walked off, and he said it was a couple of weeks goes by, and then he gets a call.
Really?
And they said, "Are you the guy that threw this CD and Faith in her car? She's going to record it tomorrow. Do you want to come to the studio?" It might have been This Kiss, but I can't remember which song it is. But one of them big songs of hers that became a career song. But now this town's full of stories. Without having any on top of my head, I can't really think of any. But yeah, they're out there.
That's neat stuff.
One thing I could think of one real quick, and it's a George Strait one. Aaron Barker, a dear friend of mine, and he got a call one day, and his kid got into a fight at school, and he had to go pick him up, and he said he brought him home, and he said he just loved on him. And then that night he said, I was about to go to bed, and I started crying thinking about it. And so I went in my study, and I started writing this song. And because I didn't really tell him, what I wanted to tell him. So I just wrote it. I figured that'd be an easier way to kind of figure it out. And he goes, "I just wrote it for him. I didn't think anything about it." And it might have been a couple of years later that whoever his publisher was just digging through songs that he never even really turned it in to pitch it. And they heard it, and they're like, "Oh, my gosh." And they sent it to Irv, and George recorded it, and his publisher called and said, "Hey, George is cutting that song you wrote." And he goes, "Which one? I've written thousands."
Yeah.
He goes, "A Father's Love." He goes, "I didn't write that for you to pitch." He goes, "I wrote that for my son." And he goes, "Well, it's about to be a George Strait song." And it was 5-6 week number one. So,
wow. Yeah, I mean, I can hear the song playing in my head right now. That's cool.
Yeah,
that is so cool. So, like, when you sing, like at the Watering Hole or wherever, I'm sure you got some original stuff that you like to sing. Who do you like to cover, too, though?
Should Have Been a Cowboy. It's one I love to cover.
Sure.
I cover Buy Me a Boat. Love to do that.
Yeah.
In Color by Jamie Johnson. It's one of my favorite songs to cover.
Oh, yeah.
I always play Granddaddy's Gun that Red Akins and them boys wrote. Dust on the Bottle. It's a good one to cover. When I have a band, I can't play it for nothing. They move them chords way too fast for me.
Yeah.
And then I started in some of my shows covering "I Can Only Imagine" by Mercy Me. And Bart's story is incredible. And they're about to have the second movie out, Mercy Me. I Can Only Imagine 2. I think it comes out February 20. And it's just an incredible story about the struggled, life he had coming up with his dad, and how his dad then, turned to God, and everything kind of turned around before he passed. And here's a story about that you couldn't write. You couldn't sit down and script this better.
Yeah.
When Bart's dad died, he had an insurance policy that paid him a little money every month. And Bart wrote this song, and originally it was going to be Amy Grant put it out. And if she had recorded it, that would have changed his life. That would have made so much money.
Sure.
And the night she was supposed to put it out, Bart was there to hear her, and she couldn't sing it. She said, Bart, can you come up here on stage? And he gets there, and she closes the mic, and she goes, this is your song. If I sing it, everything changes. She goes, I think you should sing it. She goes, my band knows it. Are you ready? And
on the spot.
And so he got up there and sang it. Wow. And it created, his career in Mercy Me. But the money that his dad had given, the last dollar was spent the day I Can Only Imagine went number one.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, they had $0 in the bank account the day it went number one.
And that's something.
Just for those of y'all who don't know, when you write like a number one song, it's like 9 months, 12 months after that before you ever see a dollar because of the way all the royalties work out.
Yeah,
so,
I could only imagine.
But, yeah, that was just like his dad going, I got you, son.
Wow. So. That is man. Yeah, I could sit here. You could probably go on for hours. I mean, just telling these stories, and anybody that's in the country music or enjoys it, I mean, that it's just so, it just, it just pulls you in, because in a way it makes me feel like, hey, I understand why they, wrote this song or why they're singing this song and that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool, Yeah. So you like to cover those guys? Hometown Arkansas.
Yep. Ozark, Arkansas, home of the Hillbillies.
Hillbillies,
yep. That's our
right.
high school mascot.
Yeah. So Arkansas boy, you got to do some duck hunting.
Oh man, there was a lot more duck hunting when I was young, but the cold just don't push them down like they used to. Stuttgart over in East Arkansas on the flyway and the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
Lot still over that way, but on the west side, we just don't have them like we used to unless it's real cold. We had a good week of it when this last cold front came down.
Sure.
I wasn't home, but I've got, some friends, and one of my little nephews, he eat up with duck hunting.
Yeah.
He wants a boat. He wants, a couple of dozen decoys. And, and he went out and him and my brother killed quite a few. But, yeah, I loved, being in the blind and having the, the camaraderie and just the community aspect of it. It was such a social thing, going in the woods to sit and, deer hunt or turkey hunt. Is one thing, and there's that race in that. But when you get to socialize with each other and be in the blind, and then you hear them, and you call, and you see them working, you see them cupping up, and then you hear cut them. I mean it's hard to beat that.
It is hard to beat that. I mean it's such a social time, and just the memories that are built from that, because you get to share it with so many people. And what's cool is when you can sit out there, you shoot a couple, and you sit back, talk, fellowship, everything else. Here comes another group, and if you got enough people in there, that could last, a couple hours. I mean, you talk about a time, with the deer, turkey hunt. I mean, love turkey hunt to death. And, I do hunt a lot with Sam and Macie, so we hunt as a group, and it's a lot of fun. I, was there when they first got when they got their first turkeys, watched them double up on it. And I mean, man, it was just such a joy and such a good experience for all of us. But man, waterfowl hunting, when you're in a blind or a pit or whatever it may be, man, it's just such a good time. And, so much you get to share and everything else. And now that you're in Nashville, do you travel back home, or do you get down to, like, Stuttgart or,
I travel back home a little bit, and I've got a friend that's got a duck camp down in Mississippi that I get to go to for some duck hunting. And as far as turkey hunting, there's a few places here I turkey hunt. There's some places in Ohio. I got friends up there, and I go home and hunt on our land, on our farm. Same thing with deer hunting. And I even travel down to Texas and do some deer hunting in Oklahoma. It's one of them, like, people ask me about music. They're like, why don't you ever come to so-and-so and play? And I said, have a guitar, we'll travel. But when hunting season comes around, I'll say, have rifle, we'll travel. Have shotgun, we'll travel.
That's right.
Give me a call.
That's right. That's right.
And I'll bring the guitar, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, you got any, you bring your guitar. And that's what I see. You see a lot of it on some different hunting videos where somebody be at somebody's duck camp or, go turkey hunting with them and, be out there, at the fire or something playing. I mean, it's just cool. It
is.
You get a bunch of people together and, at your buddy's duck camp, I'm sure y'all get to do that and enjoy all that. So you're probably the star of the show and every night at the fire and that kind of thing. So
yeah, it's one of them when you get, a group of men, a group of people, we got some ladies that'll hunt with us too. At the duck camp down in Mississippi, that's just a guy's thing, but there's such a moment when you can get away from life and you've got the outdoors that God's given us, and you got some good buddies and some honest conversation and some good food. Good food's really important.
Yeah.
And then a little music and fellowship. And it's just one of the best times in the world when you can just turn the world off, enjoy each other's company, get to know each other, get out into nature, try to harvest you some protein for your family.
That's right.
And just enjoy being around each other and sharing songs that, may never be on the radio, may never be recorded by anyone. But it's, hey, I wrote this last week. What do y'all think?
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome.
What a good way to test the waters with it, that kind
absolutely.
of thing. Yeah, that's cool.
Yep.
You got any big trips planned for the spring anywhere special?
I do. I've got, several songwriter festivals coming up. I'm going down to Florida here pretty soon. I'm going up to Kentucky, to Henderson, Kentucky for a songwriter festival up there, the Sandy Lee Watkins Songwriter Festival. And I just got invited to Belize, Mexico.
Really?
For the Belize Songwriters Festival. Lucas Hogue, who's an outdoorsman, he does a show called Hogue Wild, great artist, great singer-songwriter. Called me and he said, "You've never been down. You want to come?" I said, "Well, I just got a fresh passport, so I'm legal to go now."
There you go.
So we're going to do that. There's a big one in Key West I go to a lot. I don't know if I'll make it down there this year, but spring is usually full of songwriters festivals, and then summer slows down a little bit, and then the fall there's private events and other festivals that I go perform.
So when you get to Mexico, you're going to try to go after a Golds while you're down there?
That would be so nice.
Wouldn't it?
I got to talk to him and see if they're in that area. I have no idea if they are. If they are, that would be so cool.
Yeah. You talk about, bang for your buck. You want to go down to the convention and you get to do that too. So, that'd be a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And you mentioned, I know you're a duck hunter, but you were talking to me earlier about a thing you guys do, for in the fall with duck hunting. You get together with, was it just like was it a youth group, or I couldn't remember what we were talking about there?
What were we talking about? We don't do a duck hunting thing. The group down in Mississippi, the gentleman that does that is one of our leaders from my Music Row Ministries group.
Oh yeah, that was it.
It's a Bible study that was started by Jordan Rowe and Jason Cruz and a couple of others, and Jason's the one with the duck camp down in Mississippi, and there's 4 or 5 of us that lead Bible study on Music Row for anybody in the music industry that want to come to it every week. And we've had anyone, I'm not going to mention names, but big hit songwriters, artists, brand new to town. And I love when we walk through that door, all the egos stay outside, and it's just sons of God learning the Bible and talking, about Jesus and sharing our stories and our struggles. And, where 2 or more are gathered, he is with us. And in that room, we can all come together. And that's Jason and a group of folks together, got that duck camp together that I went to, I guess it was last January or February for the first time.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It's one of them things where he said, if you ever need to get a couple of guys and get away from Nashville for 4 or 5 days, that's what it's for, to go down there. You don't have to duck hunt, but anytime and just go down there and enjoy being away.
Just get out of this, decompress a little bit, recharge the battery, that kind of thing. Because I'm sure, just grinding like that, what you guys are doing, just like anybody else, you hit it till you put everything you got into it. Eventually, you get to a point where you're like, hey, man, I just need to step away for a little bit, So
I take to visualize for those of y'all that are listening or watching, you've got a full cup of water. And you've got this empty cup of water, and that's life. And you pour yourself into life, and that's your job, your family, the things that you enjoy doing and that you have to put energy into. And then you set that cup down, and there's not much left. And that's when you can't sleep, you're tired, you're sore, you're upset, you're frustrated. You've got to have those things that fill you back up.
Right.
You have to have those peaceful moments, those moments of silence. Even a lot of times after the convention, I'll go home and I won't book a ride on the Monday after convention. And Sunday, I'll go to church, enjoy some quiet time. And on Monday, I'll wake up knowing I don't have an appointment I've got to hurry around for. I'll get up and I'll cook a big breakfast.
Yeah. And
I'll do a few things around the house. And I might go, pay the bills. I might go get the oil changed in the truck and just do some stuff. And I don't want, there won't be music on in the truck. It'll be as quiet as I can have it, just to decompress from all the conversations we've had at the NWTF convention this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And that silence. And I would do that a lot after big shows, too. The next day, let's not schedule anything. I need just some peace and quiet.
Sure.
And I love going to a movie. I'll go to a movie, get me a little popcorn, sit back, and just get out of my own world for a while and get into another one. That's something that's always kind of helped me decompress.
And that's what's worked for you. Just going to a movie by yourself.
That's
and just
one
hanging
of them.
out and just taking a deep breath and taking that movie in or whatever. So, everybody's got to have some way to escape it. Me, myself, it's usually just, hey, me and my dogs, and if it's too much, just me and my dogs are going hunting, and that's it. Although I really enjoy going, with family and friends and all that. You can't beat it. The turkey hunting, man, and you deer hunt. I don't really deer hunt at all, but I mean, you deer hunt, and you get out there turkey and deer hunting. I mean, it's you, Mother Nature, and that's it.
You're walking in pitch black, using a headlamp or some kind of flashlight, and you find your tree or your stand, and seeing the dew on the ground, seeing the fog lift, seeing that sun break over the trees. There's few things in life, if you just stop and watch it, will ever equal what that feels like.
Oh yeah. That's pretty special. And I don't know what we got going on here in the background.
We have a line of. They must hear. They heard there was a podcast, and they're all wanting to be on the Hurricane Marsh podcast.
I don't know if this is the line for the banquet starting tonight. I'm pretty sure it is.
It starts about 6 o'clock.
I mean, there's no way you can see all this right here, what we got going on behind us. But I mean, if this is a testament to how cool this banquet, and until you've been in that banquet hall. That thing is massive.
It is.
I mean,
huge.
the biggest, banquet I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Been to a lot of Delta ones, Ducks Unlimited and everything, but I mean, which they all put on a good show. But this convention. I mean, if y'all haven't been here, you got to come. If you enjoy, and if you're not a turkey hunter, you're still got to come.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's. I don't know how many people come in our booth and be, hey, I don't turkey hunt, but well, I mean, this is just for anybody.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, just outdoorsmen, women. This last year, some guys, we always come down with guys, and they talk about it so much back home. The wives said, all right, next year, can we go? And we're like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And when they were leaving, they looked and they said, can we go ahead and book rooms? We want to come back.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
They do the ladies, the Pearl, Ladies and Pearls event. But it's for anybody. I mean, there's if you're a foodie, you'll have fun here. If you're an outdoorsman, you'll have fun here. If you're a woodworker, you'll have fun here. If you're, taxidermy enthusiast, if you're a caller, there's so many things going on here. It's not just about hunting. Hunting's the core of it. But I'd encourage anybody, come out here and just experience it. You'll enjoy it.
Oh, you'll have a ball. I mean, and like you said, it's the core of it, but there's so much more to it. And, we got a huge group of people that come down from our hometown. And some of them, I was talking to them last night at the watering hole. We usually stop there and visit with everybody. And they were telling me they've been coming down here for over 20 years, I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it started with them and their parents. And now it's grandma and grandpa, all the way down to grandkids. And, there's little grandkids running around, Some of them got the Hurricane Marsh hats, walking around in Bottomland or Real Tree, whatever, and just so proud they got, something cool and looking so forward to turkey season, and so it's not just – it's a family event,
Mm-hmm.
It's not just, hey, let's grab all the guys, go down there and, just talk about, turkey hunting or whatever. It's something for everybody. And you know what they do every Friday night? They go over to the Grand Ole Opry. I think there was 150 of them last night that went over there to it. And so it's not like, hey, you're just coming here, you're going to do this. And then today they went down to Broadway. To experience, some of what Broadway has to offer,
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you just don't have to spend all 3 days here at the convention, although I think if you thoroughly tried to look at every booth, it might take you 3 days. As big as it is.
I've been coming 15 years, and just before I came to see y'all today about talking, there was a couple of lines that I hadn't been down today, so I snuck down, a couple of different aisles that I hadn't been down this whole time. But, yeah, it takes a long time to go through it.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And it's neat because, a lot of guys that you see on these hunting shows, I mean, I enjoy watching the hunting public. I think some of those boys are from my home state of Missouri. And, there's been, some days when we've been so busy here, everybody asks me, what do you do? And I said, I'll go back to my room, kick off my boots, lay on the bed, and sit there and watch reruns of Hunting Public or the Pinhoti Project or something like that, and just unwind a little bit. I mean, I have so much fun doing it, but boy, I mean, when you're on your feet on that concrete, especially getting my age, it wears you down a little bit. But those guys are here.
They are,
and you can come and sit and talk to them, and and they got stories. You see everything that they put, on video and everything. If you watch it on YouTube or wherever you watch it, or watch their social media, but they'll sit there and talk about it. I mean, and it's not just, it's everybody. I mean, you see everybody. I mean, like I said, I've always said, there's only one man I'll be humbled by, and when I meet him one day, I will be. My Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and that's
100%,
it.
yeah.
But saw Cuss Strickland one year, and I mean, what a joy, and I mean, you talk about a down-to-earth guy too. I mean, just happy to be here. You'll see him walking around, and it's the whole hunting community in itself. Everybody's here.
Yeah. It is, yeah. I got to sit down with Bruce Mitchell from Swamp People the other night and just talk about all kinds of different stuff. And there's been a few times getting to talk with Toxie and Daniel and some of them with Macie Oak and just all the TV celebrities and folks that are out there. I know Macie Watkins, she does her channel now is like faith-based stuff, and I just love to see someone like that is an influencer online, because online is just can be such a poison, but there's some good gems in there too. And to see people here, that are the salt of the earth people, that are out there putting content out, that's great, for all ages to see, and entertaining and educational and just, life.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just neat, that you can walk by and like, I just saw you on, a hunting show or something like that, and it's neat. And but they're all here. You wanted to come see them, and it's neat. I don't get a lot of chances to walk through because we're so busy, but if I had to do a bathroom break, I may cut through just to say hi to a few people that I need to, and, just want to, get reacquainted with every year. And there'll be a line out these booths, and they're in there taking, and I don't know how many thousands of photos they take at this show, but they always got a smile on their face and just happy to see everybody. And, it's just a good time of the year. Winter's on the wind down, starting to feel like spring a little bit. Everybody's got that itch. They want to hear that turkey gobble for the first time. And, oh, gosh. I mean, it makes the hair on your neck stand up, And so not a better way to kick it off, to come down here, support a great organization, meet people like you. Yeah, and actually get to sit down and talk about it, And, I'm just glad. I'm glad. A lot of this business, I owe in part to my daughter, Macie. I mean, she's pushed. She's just, ever since she's been a little girl, she's always pushed me to do this or pushed me to do that, And, one thing about her, I like telling stories about her because they're good ones. So she is so competitive. I mean, the most competitive little girl I've ever met, but then she's got a big heart on top of it, But she comes home, and this is when she was a junior in high school. And she was a 4-sport athlete in high school. I mean, just, really talented. And she came home, and she was mad. I said, "What's wrong, baby?" And she said, "Dad, we're having the powder, the game where I think it's called Powder Puff, where the juniors play the seniors in high school." Mm-hmm. And she said, "They purposely split me and my good friends up and put us on different teams." Because, not all the juniors play there's several teams. There's so many kids in the school. And I was like, "Well, what's wrong?" And she said, "I think if we would have had our team, we were going to win." She goes, "I want you to help me learn how to throw a football." I mean, she could throw one decent. But, I mean, so every night every day when she got off school, we would go throw a football, me, her, and, my son Wade. And, her arm kept getting better. And she's zinging that thing after a while. And I was like, "Why is this so important?" She goes, "They shouldn't have done that because they knew we'd win, so now we're going to win." And the seniors have won every year. And so I was on duty that night, and luckily, my firehouse was right down the street from the high school. And we go up there and watch football games and, just put our presence out in the community. Up. That's right. And so, I told everybody, all the guys are like, "Oh, yeah, we're going." And so we get down there to watch the game, and that little girl threw, I think, 6 touchdown passes, ran for 2 herself, and they won.
And
it was bad because the teachers are, you know, the referees and everything, they even were calling bad penalties on them and trying, because I guess it's a tradition, the senior girls are supposed to win. They
were stepping on that scale, and it still didn't matter.
Oh, it didn't matter. I mean, they put a fire in her that could not be put out. I mean, it was amazing. And to this day, like, you know, so Sam, her fiance, they're getting married coming up here in May.
Pretty soon.
That's right. It's around the corner, and I get reminded about it about every day. You know, and you speak about her competitiveness. So my wife, Amy, is like working overtime planning this wedding. And Macie, she was like, that's fine. You know, you just tell me where to be, this and that and everything. That's just the way Macie is. She said, but I got one request. And we were like, what's that? She goes, I want a mechanical bull at the reception.
She told me about that.
That is Macie, though. I mean, that's her. But you know, just the competitiveness I'm going to win that football game. You know, they told me I couldn't do something. Don't ever tell her she can't do anything. But I owe a lot of this to her because it's just been, Dad, what you're doing is cool. Let's move forward with this. You know, push this. You ought to do something with it. You know, and so we just kept moving, and you know, then she's like, let's design more stuff. And so we started doing it, and that's why we are where we are now. And I mean, just, you know, that fire that she has, that drive that she has. Don't ever go turkey hunting with her. I'm telling you right now. I mean, I love going turkey hunting, but she will walking all these steps here is nothing with her. We went on a turkey hunt last year down at Sam's cousin's farm. Hills like this, you know, we did over 8 miles, but which isn't far, but 8 miles like this.
That's
on
work.
An old fat guy like me. That's a lot.
You got to really want that turkey for that.
Oh my gosh! And man, I woke up the next day and, you know, I'm like shuffling, you know. But I mean, that's her. She's got that drive. Like, excuse me, you're sitting there, you hear a gobble. I already know what's coming. All right, Dad, let's go. We're gonna run and gun that joker. And I mean, but that's the way. That's her style. Just super aggressive, and it's so much fun to watch that fire. I'll tell you that.
I bet it is.
Truly blessed, you know, and thankful that, you know, I got a little girl like that that's never been afraid of anything, you know, her whole life. You know, I remember back in school, you know, the teachers used to go on about how, you know, she's a pretty little girl, and they would bring in. She wanted to be friends with everybody, but boy, don't pick on somebody that, you know, wasn't in the popular group. She could, you know, for back then, 110-pound little girl, she could make the biggest man feel, you know, like this.
Bully buster.
That. Yeah, that was her, and I mean, just a heart of gold. So, but yeah, I'm excited for the wedding. We're gonna get through turkey season because that's one thing she said. Dad, we're going to schedule it at the last possible time in turkey season because we got big shows coming up in June. We do a lot of country music festivals. We're going to do Hoofbeat, which is up there in Wisconsin. We also do Tailgates and Tall Boys out in Bloomington, Illinois. And then I believe we're going to start doing – there's another one we're going to do in Arizona. She could probably – she schedules all this stuff. I write the checks. You know how that goes. So, but, yeah, we got a lot of big stuff coming up. What's on your – schedule coming up besides some turkey hunting? And I know you got some festivals you were talking about, but any big thing coming this spring?
Yeah, one thing I'm really looking forward to, February 23rd, I get to make a debut at the Ryman Auditorium downtown with the Gatlin brothers. They're having their 70th anniversary celebration. They've been touring 70 years. And Larry called me.
Goodness.
It's been a month or so ago now, and he goes, what are you doing on February 23rd? And I said, nothing. He goes, have you ever played the Ryman? I go, no. He goes, well, you're going to on February 23rd. We want you to be part of the show.
Really?
And it's like 50 artists, and to celebrate 70 years of their thing. And that's going to be special.
Sure.
You know, if I had just got to play with my, you know, as an artist or with my band, it would have been special. But to be able to step on that stage with a legend, you know, like Larry, Steve, and Rudy, and everybody else that's going to be there, that's one of them, you know, God, oh, so you want to be in the music industry? Well, let me put some things on your bingo card that wasn't on your bingo card. Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm putting out, you know, a few songs this year that I love. You know, whether 5 people hear it or 5 million people hear it, it'll get to the ears it's supposed to.
That's right.
And just, you know, I'm excited about writing the next thing and working with the next artist. You know, you never know who's going to be the next Morgan Wallen or Luke Combs or Laney Wilson, and all three of those are, friends that I had before anybody knew their names.
Isn't that something?
And I couldn't be more happy for them. I saw Laney's fiance the other night, Duck, and hardly ever get to see her. And I'm like, hey, give Laney a hug for me when you see her. Tell her I said howdy.
Wow.
And it's to see them do that. But then you work with artists. Like the other night, I had Jaden's Jean here at the Watering Hole with me, and 18-year-old artist I've been working with for a couple of years. And she's got a lot of, potential in her. And 5, 6, 7 years from now, she may be the one on the radio that all the, little girls are looking up to, because of the songs she sings. And if I get a chance to help them write their story and to share songs that might impact someone out there, that's really what I look forward to.
That is so cool. The man behind the scenes. Man. So I tell you what, brother, we're going to wrap this up. This is starting to get so loud here.
Yeah, it is. This is crazy.
We got a little bit to go here in the show. I don't know, what is it, 5 or 6 that ends tonight? I'm not sure, but we start wrapping up, and we don't try to get out of here tonight. We just wrap her all up, come upstairs, visit with everybody, and we get up tomorrow, load the trailer, and then on the way back. But man, I really do appreciate sitting down with you.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, sir, and getting to know the man, Lance Carpenter. Yeah. It like I said, you meet so many people, and you're in passing, and they're good folks. But man, I'm just so grateful I'm actually able to do this podcast and to get to sit down and know some pretty cool people in this world. So,
well, I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and thank you for having me.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate you.
Well, I'm Jon Blevins with the Hurricane Marsh Outfitters Find Your Ex podcast. This is Lance Carpenter. Lance Carpenter coming to you live from Nashville at the NWTF Convention. We'll see you next time.